Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Devansh Shah and today we will be discussing about queries by some of the users. But before beginning my lecture, I would like to tell you that I'm also addressing some people whose native language is not English, and so I'll be using both Hindi and English interchangeably. Our first question is from user Yashvi, and she wants to know that she has eczema, and apparently because of that she has a lot of hair fall and it has increased a lot now. Particularly for your case, Yashvi, I would like to do some investigation besides the allergic test in your case. Particularly I will look for other deficiency of important vitamins and minerals as well, and I will also like to check for your protein intake. Suppose I'm weighing around 80 kg, so if I need a better hair growth, I will require around 80 grams of protein per day. So suppose for you, if your weight is around 40 to 50 kg, so according to the body weight estimation, you will require around 1 gram per kilogram of protein per day. So you need to address your protein intake, right? Moving on to the second question, Mr. Chintan wants to ask that how to increase your hair growth. Okay, actually your hair growth is determined by your genetics. You can change that. The things you can change is your dietary protein intake. Like I mentioned in my previous answer, if you are not having a good amount or sufficient amount of protein in your diet, then you will going to lose your hairs. Okay, so genetics, we can do anything about it, but things we can do about it is maintaining a proper and adequate nutritious diet, right? Our next question, which is asked by user named Ravina. She asks that what should I do to improve hair quality in terms of smooth textures, and I am not using any sort of hair oil. Okay, so using hair oil doesn't confer any advantage to your hair growth. Second thing, which I have mentioned in my previous two answers, that you need to look for your protein intake, daily protein intake, and daily vitamins and mineral intake also. Third thing, if you are using any hair rod, the hair straightening rod, that hot rods they are selling in the market for hair straightening, right? Actually, when you use that, it produces bubbles in your hair shaft, which weakens them eventually. So you should be avoiding that sort of things, right? Next question, the users Soumya, Rajvi and Akash wants to know about the dandruff. Okay, dandruff, which is also known as seborrheic dermatitis of scalp. There are multiple causes responsible for production of seborrheic dermatitis of scalp, right? And it causes tremendous amounts of stress amongst patients because it produces excessive itching, right? And greasiness. The main complaint is greasiness and scales, which you see on your shirt or any sort of t-shirt you are wearing, especially if it is of contrast colored, right? So what causes seborrheic dermatitis? The main cause which is responsible for causing seborrheic dermatitis is fungal infection. Fungus named Pityriosporum, right? Pityriosporum ovale, which produces seborrheic dermatitis of scalp. You need to take care of that. Besides the fungus, the other important factor is psychological stress. So if it gets treated by a dermatologist and he gives you any antifungals or topical antifungal and systemic antifungal, so temporarily you may get benefited from it, but if the stress component is not removed, then you will see the recurrence of the seborrheic dermatitis of the scalp. So stress factor, stress in any form like physical or mental stress, both can produce seborrheic dermatitis of scalp. So it's a very resistant entity and you need to get a proper treatment regimen for it. So your dermatologist may get you started on certain antifungals, which is which the fungus is more susceptible to it, right? Okay. To our next question, which is asked by Mahima. She wants to know about how to make your hair less frizzy. Okay, so like I mentioned in my previous answer, so if we exclude the dietary factor and the external hot rod appliance, if we exclude those two, then the third important factor is avoiding using the shampoo which contains SLS and SLES. Remember those two components. SLS, which means sodium laureth sulfate, and SLES, sodium laureth ethyl sulfate. those two chemicals make your hair shaft dry, right? And it also weakens your hair shaft eventually on a long run, so you need to watch for that. Okay, question is by Miss Vidhi. She wants to know about side effect of hair colors on skin. There are so many side effects of using commercially available hair color. First of them, which I commonly encountered, is allergic contact dermatitis. It produces allergic patches on your skin. Second thing is hair fall. Why? Because of the ammonia component. Ammonia weakens the outer layer of your hair shaft, which eventually breaks it and your hair becomes frizzy afterwards, right? Is from a user named Kanan. She wants to know about effects of monsoon on hair fall. Actually, monsoon doesn't have any direct effect on your hair fall. The scalp hair shows periodicity actually. So more hairs are hair growth is more during March, and you will see hair fall, increase in hair fall during September, because hair growth in scalp, particularly scalp, shows periodicity. Okay, if you are losing more than 100 hairs per day, then it is said to be pathological. Otherwise it is normal physiological process. Okay, next question asked by users Snehal and Ria. They want to know about basic hair care tips. Okay, so besides dietary factor, I would like to point out two important things which you should consider while taking care of your hair. First thing, never wash your hair in very hot water, right? If temperature goes beyond 55 degrees Celsius, then it will coagulate your hair shaft protein and it will get weakened and eventually the hairs will lost. Second thing, don't tie your hair in very tight fashion, like if it produces traction over your hair shaft and eventually it will damage your keratin layer. Okay, next question is from the user named Aisha. She wants to know about the effect of castor oil on your hair. Okay, in my personal practice I haven't found any oil useful for hair loss, right? Actually, what important is your protein deficiency. If you are deficient in your protein, then definitely you are going to lose your hairs, even though you are using every sort of costly oil on your scalp for your hair loss. Our next question is asked by user named Nikhil. He wants to know any suggestion for face wash. So Nikhil, if you want to use a generic face wash, then I would like to advise you using face wash which contains two ingredients, which is cetyl alcohol and stearyl alcohol, because those ingredients are mild on your skin. Otherwise, if you use those commercial face wash which gets marketed in every grocery store you are seeing, it will actually produce sensitization on your skin, right? My next question is from the user Megha Vidwani. She wants to know about the frequency of washing your hair. Okay, so I have seen so many people washing their hair on a daily basis, right? Actually, it does more damage than good. It takes away your protective secretions of your scalp, so your scalp will become dry, and if your scalp becomes dry, then eventually hair shaft will get damaged. So better to wash your hair at least twice a week rather than going daily, right? Our next question is by user named Madhuparna Pal. She wants to know about acne spots. First, you need to understand why the spots are produced, right? I have seen so many people having tendency of picking their acne, right? So if you pick your acne, then the inflammatory component or the bacteria which are involved in production of acne will get deeper in your skin. So it will produce more inflammation in a deeper layer, then and it will be very resistant to treatment afterwards. So main thing I would like to correct here is your picking habit. So you need to stop that, right?